All right. Hello and welcome to the June 30th, 2026 Select Board meeting for the town of Hatfield. It is 5:06 and I'd like to call this meeting to order. First, I'm going to read our public participation announcements. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all other public meetings of the town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and committees of the town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that the open meeting law affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from the members of the community and conducting the required business of the Hatfield Select Board. For the public's information, this meeting is being recorded. First off, announcements. I'd just like to say, I hope everyone has a great 4th of July. Please keep in mind that fireworks are illegal and it is incredibly dry out, and it can be a large burden on our first responders having to respond to incidents of all kinds. So please be aware of your surroundings while you're celebrating. That is all I have. If you have anything.
I'd just like to say condolences to the family of Jane Yolen. She did a lot for the school. She did a lot of writing contests for the kids over the years, and I'd just like to express our condolences to her and her family.
Yep, just to echo that, a huge loss for the town. And my daughter always loved trick-or-treating at our house and getting a poem, so very sadly missed.
She will be greatly missed. Is anybody, that's all we've got for announcements? All right, is anyone here?
I'll just say quickly to anybody watching the live stream right now and wants to come down from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight, there will be an open house run by PVPC, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, with our consultant who's been working on the agricultural ditches study. Some really interesting information that they found, and they're looking at how to better maintain these agricultural waterways in the future. And a lot of that has to do with overlap with the Conservation Commission, but if they're agricultural, there's an interesting permitting method for that. So really interesting stuff that they found. They've walked over 42 miles of ditches between here and Hadley, so and inspected every culvert in the two towns. So really cool project they've done, and there will also be ice cream there from 6 to 8 if that's of interest. So right outside here at Smith Academy Park. Come for the ice cream, stay for the fascinating information on agricultural pathways. Thanks.
Is anybody here for public forum? Seeing none, we will move on to our consent agenda and our minutes from last meeting.
Make a motion to approve June 6, 2026 meeting minutes.
Seconded.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to our posted business. Topic 1, the loan documents for the wastewater treatment plant. So,
Well, as clerk, I make a motion to approve the sale of $3,606,224, a 4% general obligation bond application notes, the notes of the town dated July 13th, 2026, and payable July 13th, 2027 to Fidelity Capital Markets, a division of National Financial Services, LLC, at par and accrued interest, if any, plus a premium of $37,504.73. Further voted that in connection with the marketing and sale of the notes, the preparation and distribution of a notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated June 16th, 2026, and a final official statement dated June 23rd, 2026, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, approved, and adopted. Further vote that the town treasurer and the select board be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a significant events disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC rules 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the notes for the benefit of the holders of the notes from time to time. Further voted that we authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-insurance federal tax compliance procedures and continuing disclosure procedures in such forms as the town treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax-exempt status of the notes and to comply with relevant security laws. Further voted that any certificates or documents related to the notes, collectively the documents, may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original, all of which shall constitute one in the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of a signature page to the document by the electronic mail and a PDF file or other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to such documents, and electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents in all matters relating thereto, having the same legal effect as original signatures. Further voted that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them, or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes. Okay, so we have to make a motion on this?
So that was your motion.
That was the motion,
Yeah.
okay.
And then this is for our bond anticipatory notes, this is our temporary financing for a number of capital projects that we have going on. So
Okay, so,
Seconded.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
no.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Fantastic. Moving on to topic 2, Mr. William Woolridge.
Tammy, do we need to just get all that signed now? Would that be helpful or anything? No? We get it done after. Okay, there's about 1,000 signatures for each
Yeah.
of you in the packet. We'll
Oh.
get that done tonight.
All right, topic 2, Mr. William Woolridge, Old Mill Inn, a request to change hours on all alcoholic beverages to Monday through Saturday, beginning 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays beginning 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. You want to come forward if you'd like to talk on that?
Yeah, it's just, we occasionally have weddings there and people want to have mimosas at 8 in the morning. I didn't, you read it, it's probably a minor thing. We don't do, really we have alcohol mostly for the convenience of our, we don't sell a lot of it, but the way the license is now goes to midnight. So we weren't trying to change that. We were trying to keep it at midnight. If you want to make it, I don't think that's a big issue. It was midnight. It was noon to midnight, and we wanted to make it go 8 a.m. to midnight, and then on Sunday at 10.
Makes
And
more
I-
sense than midnight to 10.
Okay. Yeah. The only question I have is like this license that we have says till 11 p.m. in the bottom
Oh.
left corner. I don't
Is
know if
that
we
the
need
new
to
one?
Yeah.
Because I noticed the minutes did change.
Karen, is that would this be putting us outside of the state's limits on?
No.
No, it'd be fine.
And I will print out one with the corrected time from midnight,
Oh, okay.
and you can sign that.
So we'll do 8 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Yes.
Monday through Saturday, and Sundays 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. Is that? everybody all
Yeah,
right with
that's
that?
good. Yeah, as long as it's all good.
I
on
don't
the
have
document.
any issue with it myself. I mean, I've never heard any complaints of down there at the mill from the police department or anything, so. And I understand what you're doing. You have weddings, you want your mimosas and stuff, whatever, you know. I mean,
It's interesting. I
Yeah.
don't think we sell as much alcohol as the license costs us. But we need it, our guests.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I
that's
don't-
all.
All right.
All right.
Motion to approve William Woodridge, Old Mill Inn's request to change hours on all alcoholic beverages from Monday through Sunday, beginning at 8 a.m. and Sundays beginning at 10 a.m.
Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday.
Sorry,
That's right.
And
So
two-
Monday through Sunday.
Monday through Saturday, beginning 8 a.m. and Sundays beginning 10 a.m.
It was 8 a.m. to 12, right? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll second that.
Yep.
That's fine.
Motion made, motion seconded. Is there any discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Sounds good. Moving right on to topic 3, the Betty Allen chapter of the NSDAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, for Constitution Week 2026.
Well, good evening,
Is it?
and thank you for the opportunity to
Doesn't
speak
Do
to you
anything for
today.
us. It's just for the-
I would like to introduce Donna Helm, who is the regent of the Betty Allen chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And the Betty Allen chapter is located, the house is located at 148 South Street in Northampton. And I am Sharon Nicholas, most of you know me, member and parliamentarian of the Betty Allen DAR chapter. A little bit about the DAR. The National Society was founded in 1890 to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism across the United States. We are a volunteer organization whose members can trace their heritage back to a Revolutionary War ancestor. The National Society has local chapters across the U.S. and around the world. In addition to our nation celebrating the 250th anniversary this year also marks the 239th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution on September the 17th, 1787. On this day in Philadelphia, bells were used to call people together for the first public reading of our new Constitution. This foundational document is celebrated each year from September the 17th through the 23rd by an act of the U.S. Congress in 1956. The Betty Allen DAR celebrates this event yearly with a bell ringing ceremony on September the 17th at 4 p.m. and a reading of the proclamations local towns sent us. And last year, Belchertown, East Hampton, Hadley, Granby, Northampton, and South Hadley sent our chapter house proclamations. We would respectfully request that the town of Hatfield participate in this celebration and ask if you could provide the Betty Allen DAR with a proclamation and permit us to display a few Constitution Week posters in your town hall. I've given you some examples of the posters that we would like to, just a few, we would like to put in the town hall, and a sample proclamation that for the Constitution Week. So we would also like to invite you to participate in our Constitution Day ceremony on September 17th at 4 p.m. The Northampton Chapter House will be open for tours if you've never been there. And we do issue press releases for the bell ringing ceremony, and information is posted on our Facebook page. I'd like to turn it over to our regent of the Betty Allen DAR Chapter House, Donna, for a few words.
Sure. So embellishing a little on the bell ringing ceremony, that it's started because when the Constitution was signed, all the bells rang in Philadelphia at 4 o'clock p.m. And so we still celebrate that through the country. We try to get as many communities to ring their bells at 4 o'clock. I know some people are still working, but it is just a nice thing to do on this September 17th. So, and we read the proclamations. We usually read a poem. We do this on our front lawn, and people walking by join us. And it's really a nice event, and you're all welcome to join us there.
Thank you. I mean, I think that was a nice presentation. I think it's important what you do, and I appreciate your work in this.
Absolutely.
I don't know, we need to read the proclamation at this time, or we just, how do you want to do that, Andrew?
I think you could either plan to approve this tonight, or we have a little bit of time and could do this at your next meeting, and we could personalize this for Hatfield and have this ready to go for your next meeting if you want. That sounds good. And we'll make sure that the
That's plenty-
proclamation
plenty
gets
of
made.
time. That would be great.
Or the proclamation could be made in
Yeah.
August, just right before, and that'll be a good reminder for folks of all the activities going on.
Yeah.
So
Right,
do that.
right.
That
Unless
sounds,
anyone have any questions?
no, that sounds the best.
Okay, but thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much
both.
for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Okay. What are we doing at the time? We're doing okay. Topic 4, approve the executive assistant comp time for June 30th, 2026.
Just, is that what,
I don't have
as
anything on it.
approved, is that what we
So-
looked at last week?
So this is this is a very specific item for the comp time. So typically in our comp time agreements, we tend to have them end at the end of the fiscal year. So that would be after tonight's meeting. But Karen is allowed to take comp time because she comes to our meetings and then uses the time, within 2 weeks. It would be set to expire after this meeting, and yet she can't actually use it because
Oh.
she's accruing it right now. So we just like to have that roll into the next fiscal year. It'll be however long this meeting is tonight, and then have those hours accrue for the next fiscal year. And she'll use them within a couple weeks because she's pretty good about doing that. Does that sound about right? Great. Denied.
No.
Just a reminder, I mean, we've had a lot of discussions on this over the years with different boards, and we try to encourage everybody to use their time and not to carry a lot of time over. But I do recognize there are cases where people are not able to use their time. So, I mean, it's just important to make sure that everyone knows, try to use your time if you can, and take your vacations, because everybody needs a vacation to get a little bit of rest. So
Mhm.
those are just my own comments on this.
And the board has a standing policy that folks can apply, and we can have their vacation rollover for up to 2 weeks. So we don't do that for any more on vacation. And typically, comp time requests wouldn't really come to this board, but this is just a very rare case where I just want to make sure that the comp time she accrues tonight, right now, is rollover.
Sounds good.
Motion. Comp time for June 30th, 2026 meeting to roll over into FY '27.
Second.
Motion made, motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Topic 5, vote to approve the Center for Resilient Metro Regions as recommended by the Zoning Consultant Committee.
So this is a great process that we ran through an RFP. We had 7 applicants for this work that's funded by a state grant because it's over $50,000, and we wanted to introduce criteria and not just who's the lowest bidder into this process. We ran an RFP process. We thought that would make sense, and we had 7 great teams. Really, it was a tough decision to make. We interviewed the top 2, and we're happy to recommend moving forward to a contract with the Center for Resilient Metro Regions. Wayne Fiden is a professor, runs a team of students out of UMass Amherst. He is the former planner in Northampton. He knows the town very well. He knows zoning rewrites extremely well, and has the ability to take to use other faculty members around him at UMass who are part of the center, and also students. So they'll have students doing a lot of the work on zoning maps and other things. They're going to be pretty fresh in their skills for GIS, everything else, and will be a great asset. And Wayne has a really good understanding of what we're looking for, and he's really hitting the ground running. So excited to work with him, and would highly recommend moving into a contract with him and getting this project started.
I do want to thank the committee for their work on this. Picking the right is important, so I don't have any questions on this or concerns with this contract.
Nor do I.
All right.
With that said, then I'll make a motion to approve Center for Resilient Metro Regions as recommended by the Zoning Consultant Working Group.
Seconded.
Motion made and motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Fantastic. All right, Topic 6. David Capriati, the beer guy, LLC, request for one-day alcohol license for July 25th, 2026 at the Hatfield Lions Club Pavilion, Billings Way, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for an employee picnic.
I don't have a problem with this.
We've
We
used them before.
granted him his request over the years, and I haven't heard any problems or concerns. And it sounds like a private party, and the insurance and all that's been taken care of, I guess, and everything's in order.
Everything's here, yeah. If that's the case, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve David Capriati, the Beer Guy LLC request for a one-day alcohol license for July 25th, 2026 at the Hatfield Lions Pavilion, Billings Way, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for an employee picnic.
I think it's 11.
Yeah, I have
11
11
a.m.
a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
I think that also
Unless
maybe.
it's
Will you- will you
That
accept
one
the-
also maybe changed.
Accept the friendly amendment, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yes.
That's what it says.
So accept it.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Topic 7. We have some donations that were recently made to the town of Hatfield. So first on our lists, we have a donation from the estate of Robert L. Hebert.
If you don't mind, I'll give just a little introduction
Yeah.
to all three of these. So this was the last will and testament that was sent to us by local attorney's office, Melnick Law Offices. And they let us know that there's a very kind donation from the estate of Robert Hebert in 3 separate $2,000 donations. The first was to the fire department, to the town of Hatfield. It was not made with any specific obligations, it's just a donation to the fire department to use as they see fit. The second was a very similar donation to the police department, $2,000, used as they see fit. Extremely generous and kind. The third is a donation to the town of Hatfield, and the request is to erect a memorial bench and that there would be a plaque on it. There's language in here for the plaque. It's just the memory of Robert L. Hebert and Arlene Hebert. So again, that's for $2,000. So the process for accepting a donation would be that we need a vote of the select board to accept any gift. And we would need to make sure that any acceptance is in line with the wishes of the will. It's essentially what we're doing is that we will carry this out as requested. So for the first two, the fire department, police department, I see absolutely no problem in accepting this. The only issue on the third is that the request is to erect a bench and that there be a plaque, in their memory. We just need to make sure that we can agree to this and that we believe $2,000 is enough money to erect this bench and that we're comfortable with any, I don't say strings attached, but any obligations on that funding. So we have Marlo here. He's put up lots of benches in his career, and we just want to make sure that we feel comfortable with the $2,000. It's very possible that we could also use, say, an existing bench and use the $2,000 to pay for a plaque and maybe the maintenance on that bench or something if we needed to. It does say erect the bench, so if we have any concerns, we could always contact the attorney or our attorney as well. And I do have a attorney's opinion here about how to deal with this.
Do we
because
know
it
if
does-
there's anything that was mentioned over the years for the existing benches we have to stay within the same standard as the existing benches? Or is there anything in writing saying that if a bench is installed in town, then it has to conform to the following specifications as set forth by the benches that are already installed? I'm just wondering if we have anything.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know of anything like that. In another community I worked in, we came up with a bench donation policy in which we asked for a certain amount of funds, knowing that it was in excess, but that it would be used for maintenance in the future. That also any donation was expected to be for 10 years of that bench, that you might not have the bench in perpetuity just because of maintenance issues that came up. It might be worth it for us to look at a similar policy in the future. When they did the Smith Academy Pavilion, they did ask for donations of, I think, $5,000 for those benches. That was part of a very specific program to donate those benches and have the plaques be believed to be in perpetuity, but I'm not sure.
Was that the actual cost of putting the bench in, or was it donation to cover anything
I
else?
think the donation would also have been covering part of the cost of the park.
Yeah, because I don't know where we got these benches years ago that were installed.
I'm sure we can find that.
Yeah.
we need that.
Because I know there are other benches online that are like $700 or so, but they're recycled, but they're not the same as this. And I assume maybe we should set a policy then, if any future donations for benches, to follow some kind of policy or standards so that we don't have mismatch or,
Yeah, outline exactly the design of the bench and the size of the plaque and
right,
everything.
yeah.
And I will say there are no requirements here of where it would be placed. It doesn't say where the bench has to be, so it doesn't have to be, say, in the park where we have kind of standards there. It could be another location if we're
I don't
comfortable.
want to discourage any future donations to
Right.
the town, but at the same time, we
Right.
just want to make everything somewhat compliant to what we have, I suppose.
That said, I was wondering that, I think you mentioned that there were benches at the new playground. I was wondering if one of those, if we could put a plaque on, or,
I'm not sure. I got to take a look at the
Okay.
benches. I haven't seen them yet. They're over in public safety. They were purchased by rec at some point. I want to take a look at them. But if we can install them, then
I was just thinking if there's a public land outside of the park, that would be less obvious.
If you think, are there benches part of the new playground design?
no, it wasn't. It was brought to my attention after I went through the process
Ah.
of rebuilding the playground. So I
So
gotta
there's
take-
no new benches as a part of that, or
no.
but there could be if we wanted a new bench there. We could use these funds potentially.
Yeah.
If it's in a separate area already.
I think we'd have to get a quote for the bench first.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
first determine how much they cost. Some of those recycled plastic benches can be pretty expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
I
So
thought you said that you found some that you were repurposing.
Well, they haven't been used and nobody seems to know what they were for. They're over there. I just haven't peeked at them yet.
Yeah.
Somebody brought it to my attention and said, maybe you can put them in the park when all the new structures and everything's.
I mean, if we have an existing bench, then that might fit in with
Right.
this donation already, so
Right.
that would work.
I may have a policy from another community too on that. I can look
Yeah,
at it.
that'd be helpful.
So it kind of sounds. It seems like we probably can make motions on the police and fire, but should hold off on the bench portion until we make a cost determination, right?
do it at your next meeting. We can
Yeah.
have a plan for what to do with the bench. It sounds like what I'm hearing from this board is that it's something we would like to do. We just want
Yeah.
to make sure we have a place for it, that we have a way to erect a bench at the $2,000 mark, and that we'd be comfortable with how it looks and where it goes.
I mean, and would it be agreeable to the estate that if the $2,000 doesn't cover the cost of an entire new bench, could it just cover the cost of the plaque and the maintenance moving forward
I think we
on
can
an
ask,
existing
That's
bench?
the only option.
we'd
so
have to
that's what
ask
we have to
the,
check
yeah.
on.
we'd have to ask the attorneys.
Right.
Yeah, I think we can find a solution here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that we're going to erect a new bench.
And it doesn't,
Yeah.
does it say erect a new bench?
It-
It says erect a bench.
Pay for the erection of a bench.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, so I think we have a path forward here in a number of ways.
but the question is, can we purchase?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
The erect part of it tells me build
Right.
Yeah.
our
Right.
own.
I
Okay.
see the only option as a plaque on an existing repurposed.
Once we find the right thing. So yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to accept the first two, and then
Yeah.
the third we'll wait on, but Marlo and I will work on figuring out a
That
plan on
sounds
that.
like
Great.
the path forward.
All right, motion to accept donation from the estate of Robert L. Hebert for the fire department.
Motion made. Do we have a second? I'll second it.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept donation from the estate of Robert L. Hebert for the police department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll get information on the bench.
Right, and then we'll wait on that.
And I think we should have some policy in place for, we don't want to discourage future donations, but if they want a bench, then we should have some kind of standard or something on what we're allowing. You know, it just makes sense that way.
We also might want to, this is going off topic, but we might want to think about other ways to accept donations for memorials, some that aren't a bench, some other method.
Yeah, policy on donations, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
something.
people can,
Bricks or whatever.
people can
Okay.
donate in multitudes of ways. It's just when it gets specific like this is where we run into, where it gets sticky. Right.
Thank you. I appreciate that we could take care of that.
Yeah. Topic 8.
So
Fire-
on this one, the firefighter position increase in pay, the fire chief did plan to have a proposal together. This is, he is planning to post the position for our second full-time firefighter. And that is posted, and we're working on seeing if there's a potential hire we can make. We'll wait until a person comes through to raise that pay, but there was enough pay budgeted, I think, to have an increase there. But we'll go over the specifics of that when we actually have a person.
All right, so we're
we don't-
skipping that for
We
now?
can skip that.
All right. The wage and salary request form for Robert Flaherty and request for comp time use.
I mean, I do have some questions on this because these hours are high and we, again, we have to talked in the past about using time. I know that he took on another position, but I don't know if he submitted anything on what he considered comp time and what we considered comp time, and if they actually conflict with one another. Meaning, did he think coming here was comp time for a meeting? Or, I mean, a lot of department heads, we expect them to attend certain meetings and stuff that are not considered comp time. They're part of their job responsibilities at the department head. So I see a high number, but I don't see anything to give us what those hours are for. So I have a question. Not that I'm against, I just like to know more information on what actually these hours were for, that's all.
Yeah, and I think he's typically listed, kept track of any comp time for any time when he would have worked extra hours that above the 40 hours a week. I think that's what he's typically tracked it for. So there was not anything in his contract for this last contract about comp time, both for having it paid out or for just general use of it. But he did track those hours, and as there were a significant number of hours that he was working outside the job. And to a certain degree, that's expected, but when it reaches a certain level, and some employees might want to see compensation for that. So I think it's an area where we don't really have an employee policy across the board. A lot of these things are worked out in individual contracts, often without the strongest of language. So it's something we need to work on for the future.
Well, I think we heard earlier that the expectation is that you use comp time within 2 weeks.
And it depends on what's in a contract. For some people, it says you can use it in a certain amount of time or within the year. And others, it's kind of expected that you would do it within 2 weeks.
But you said in
For Karen, it's an
contract-
expectation for 2 weeks. Yep,
Chief Flaherty's contract, it did not have any provision.
that's correct.
Yeah,
5 weeks feels like a lot.
I mean, I do know that a lot of it is accrued for responding to calls that happen outside of his regular hours. So whether it's EMS or fire related, it's not just necessarily meetings. So
Well, I mean, that's fine. I just like to have something that says what it was for, that's all.
Like how,
If he said these were all fire related and I guess it comes down to if you're a fire chief, if you're getting a large salary, what is considered your responsibilities to respond to as a fire chief and what responsibilities above and beyond, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not trying to be a Scrooge on anybody here, just trying to be if you're a department head and we have a meeting and you have to come all of a sudden, I'm not considering that comp time, but if it's a fire chief, if it's a fire, do we allow that? Or have we in the past, or was it under the fire chief's responsibilities? That's all I'm saying.
I think that is
I'm
in the
just-
contract, though,
Yeah.
if I recall.
I'm double checking this now.
I mean, I'm not sure if it says that in the contract.
Yeah, it says overseeing all fire, ambulance, emergency management operations, and also perform all work related thereto, and as requested from time to time by the select board, full-time schedule of not less than 40 hours, and shall flexibly vary his schedule as may be needed. Without limiting the generality of the foregoing, agrees that his responsibilities shall include, but not limited to the following. That's not helpful here. So it does have language about shall flexibly vary his schedule as may be needed. So the idea is, if there's something outside of work, you're probably coming in a little later and staying into the evening. Looks like how it's supposed to be structured. However, if you work 40 hours and then on Saturday there's a call that you have to respond to, then you've already worked the hours.
I thought that was in there. I could be mistaken, but responding to incidents outside of the 40-hour mark.
Let me see what else I can find.
But
And also, like, for over what period of time was this accrued? Because it's not PTO, which would be more black and white in my mind.
I mean, if there are fire and ambulance calls, and if we know that's one thing, but if they're going to a meeting at the fire chief's meeting or doing other stuff, I'm not sure if that would be considered
Because I'm just,
comp time. To me, it'd be stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I'm just thinking, like, if it was even 20 hours extra per week, how do you get to almost 200? Like, that's times 10 weeks.
that's concerning.
Yeah.
That's why I'd like to have something that explains what it was for. There must be documentation to show.
We can certainly ask for that if you'd like. And
So-
he's on vacation this week, so he can probably come to a future meeting. That'd be
Yeah.
helpful to talk this
Which
through.
is fine. And then we can review
I'll also
it.
print this contract so you all have that
Yeah.
to look through in case you find anything I haven't.
So why don't we just bring it up at our next
Yeah.
meeting and
Table it till
get
next
some
one.
more information?
Yep.
That's all.
Sounds great.
all right.
And then we just need a wage salary request form that captures what was offered to him in the offer letter that we had. So I will have that printed for you. But basically, it's just capturing the same thing as in the offer letter.
So we just need a motion for that now.
Yeah, and then you'll sign that tonight.
Motion to approve wage salary request form for Robert Flaherty.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
All right, topic 10, proposals for consultant services on efficiencies/deficit reduction strategies.
Great. So because we had this funding that was allocated in the town town meeting, $50,000 to help us with our deficit reduction committee and also with our looking at regionalization and other ideas. We've solicited some proposals from consultants. There's a couple that are in your folder tonight, a couple that we've already been given before. And I'd like to ask Jake West, who's interning with us this summer, to just give you some overview of those proposals and give you an idea of kind of what each of them offer and how we might think through them. We don't have to make any decisions tonight on any of them, but just want to try to keep up with what there is. And if we have any thoughts about what we might want to see differently from them, we can reach out to these consultants. We should also talk about the hiring mechanism, whether that should come from this board or if you want the deficit reduction committee itself to make more of those decisions. So Jake, you want to take it away?
So like Andrew said, we met with now 5 different groups and have a few different types of proposals even within it. The main primary focus that we got from these proposals was looking at fire and EMS, primarily because of the change in leadership and ongoing questions about balancing services and demands with increasing costs. So starting with Center for Governmental Research, CGR, they are based in New York, and they've done this fire EMS regionalization work in the past, or sorry, more broadly, cost savings work in the past. And they've worked in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. They're looking kind of that high level, primarily looking at project ideation, baseline review, taking kind of what they can identify as possible avenues for cost savings and running a full analysis and producing a report and presentation for them, us to present, whether like it should, between whether it be through this group or the deficit reduction task force. Similarly, PVCP also sent in a proposal for fire and EMS, and doing similar work of evaluating existing conditions, analyzing our service areas and evaluating alternative delivery services, and then again, producing a final report and presentation. When I look at these two proposals, between them all, I think they're very similar, and the key differences is more just in the organizations themselves. PVCP obviously has the advantage of knowing the area more, whereas CGR is a bit bigger and has more of that outside experience that also has its own benefits. Collins Center actually sent us two proposals, and so one of which is again for fire and EMS. Differences of note here is that they incorporate the, I believe it was 2023 MRI report. And so when they do their data collection and analysis, they're looking to utilize the research and data available from that study. Additionally, they would help with not just understanding who potential partners could be, but also facilitating those conversations. And so they've identified South County Ambulance and Northampton Fire EMS and would help with discussions to figure out what some type of regionalization agreement would look like, as well as exploring their own options past that. And then their other proposal is more broadly just support for the deficit reduction committee, where this would be an hourly billing proposal where essentially they would come in and help out as that professional liaison consultant and be able to help the committee with their own work and streamline their kind of goals and objectives. And then also within that, they offered to have a public engagement event and various other things that can just help the work of that committee. Then we have Community Paradigm. They are looking broadly with their research focus. And so they offer one on-site town leadership information gathering session, and then using that to analyze and field kind of where we stand, as well as facilitate stakeholder workshops. And so they're kind of looking at a more broad scope of this all, to evaluate feasibility and benefits of different cost-saving services, generating a final report, and then getting initial feedback. And then the last group that we spoke with American Institute for Research, where they were focusing on schools. We have not received a proposal from them yet, but we expect it to come soon, and we'll report that once we have it. Last thing I want to say is just key highlights. All the proposals we received respond to the same need of closing the structural deficit, and some of them directly aim to answer that through staff, fire, and EMS. Two proposals that stand out as particularly relevant, one of which is the Collins Center for Fire and EMS stands out because the proposal explicitly seeks to utilize the 2023 MRI report. In addition, they not only evaluate service options, but also help facilitate solutions with likely partners, and they're considerably less expensive than their competitors. Additionally, if we want, we can request to remove certain steps in the process, such as step 3, where they offer to interview key town and fire employees in Hatfield, which could further increase savings. This proposal recognizes that we are not starting at step one and that we also need support in implementing these efficiencies, not just identifying them. And then finally, the other one that stood out was Community Paradigms proposal for its broad review. It could really mesh well with the DRC's work. Utilizing Community Paradigms professional services can help direct and organize what they're ultimately empowered to do and efficiently review the options available to addressing the town's deficit. Also, if we like this approach, because a lot of the proposals we got were focused on fire and EMS, we can always ask for similar proposals from other consultant groups that are looking at this more broad scope, this more broad attempt at figuring out where our inefficiencies lie. Yeah, that's my overview.
So thanks, Jake. So the overall idea is, we have these proposals that have come in. It's allowing us to think more about what we want and what we don't want, and we don't need to hire anybody right now. We also need to think about, is this a hire that we want select board to make, or do you want some input from this deficit reduction committee that's going to be convened shortly? It's $50,000, which can help us do a lot, but it can't help us do everything. So we do need to make some choices there. The other good news is that the state's fair share supplemental budget does include that funding for regionalizing, I think, for studies and for other things for small rural school districts. So if we're interested in applying some of that, trying to get some of that funding, that could potentially help us with a more school-focused report as well, and looking at options. So there's also funding that the state makes available separately for assisting with those sorts of projects. So there's lots of avenues that we can approach this from. You'll notice that just when I had these conversations with folks, when I said, we have an active situation right now, we're trying to figure out what fire and EMS looks like. A lot of them just kind of jumped at that, and we're interested in helping us with that, since it's the most urgent situations. But it's certainly not the only place where we need to be looking at our budget and potentially regionalizing or introducing new efficiencies. So lots of options here.
My intuition here is that we should wait for the board to at least form and meet and give them a chance to review and think about everything here before we sort of decide on it. I do like the idea of one of the lower cost, I think it was this UMass, the Collins Center,
Mhm.
where it's a little bit lower cost. To your point, you can adjust a little bit what it's looking for and maybe leave some wiggle room so that it's not all utilized on this, but at the same time, that is the most critical.
Yeah, and I also think there could be some pretty substantial cost savings in the report. It's not hard to call the other local EMS providers that are surrounding us and ask if they're even interested in taking them on.
Number one. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there could be some background work that the town could do prior to entering into an agreement with someone like this. When you start looking at some of the details for, the data analysis and service area evaluation for $4,500. I mean, that is making 6 phone calls, so
Yeah.
it seems like we definitely could, rather than burning up the whole $50,000 that it's allocated to this new committee in one shot. And I agree, let them get formed and meet and see what their priorities are as well.
Yeah.
I'm happy to start making those phone calls. I've reached out to South County. I've reached out to Northampton and Hadley, and we're starting those conversations now because we
Right.
need to. So, because a lot of this, as much as we want to look at the data, everything else, a lot of it's based on who would take us right now and who would want to work with us if they did want to have some kind of regionalization agreement. And I think part of the benefit from a consultant like this is they can help both sides run the numbers and arrive at something that's fair. But at the same time, the other party who might want to negotiate with us does have a lot of room to decide what they want to do. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into it too, whether it's contract negotiations, union negotiations, working conditions, things like that change as well. So there's a lot going on in the background other than just saying, we'll take you
Yes.
on. So, so it sounds like we probably need to wait on this.
Do you have any thoughts, Ed? I don't think you
No,
want to
I have no time. I mean, we've been discussing this for a while, so I'm in agreement with that. That's fine.
All right.
Good.
So we'll wait on this to a future meeting.
Yes.
And then for the next meeting, I'll make sure that we have any other appointments that we want to try to make to the Deficit Reduction Committee. At some point, the select board will need to pick one of its members. I don't have that. I guess it's almost on the agenda. So you could pick someone tonight if you wanted, or you can wait till next time. And we did have somebody who was interested. So we'll get to that under topic 13.
Fantastic.
Are you entertaining comments at all from the peanut gallery at this point? As you deal with this issue? I agree if I can.
He's on the agenda.
Well,
you can make it part of that if you want.
Right. Your decision may have a bearing on what I say tonight, but it would seem to make sense, as you said, for the Deficit Reduction Committee to form and to meet and to go through a process that identifies the major priorities that the town can address that will help reduce expenses and or increase revenue to basically eliminate this deficit that we've looked at. And once we do that, if I'm on the committee, then we can, if we need help in approaching any one of those issues, that's when we can pursue some sort of professional consultant assistance to help us do that. As opposed to right now, it's just kind of a happenstance approach right now. And it may very well be that the whole thing about EMS and fire is a whole different issue.
Very well could be.
That there could be another committee formed to address that issue. But in any case, just a thought.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I would tend to agree with a lot of what you said. So we do have posted business at 6. We've got a couple minutes ahead of time. We might be able to squeak in topic 12 quick.
I think we can.
Yeah.
This is great news that we got from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts regarding this Massachusetts Historical Preservation Projects grant. This is a grant for $61,000 to help us with the roof replacement and siding renovation at the Cutter Farm Museum. A lot of folks here would know that there was money that was put in for this from the Community Preservation Act as well, both last year and this year. So this gives us enough funding to get this project done this year. There's a meeting on July 9th with the historic preservation folks, and they will also come do a site visit. They will work with us to finalize our scope and approve the engineering documents and put together by our architect, and then we'll be able to get this out to bid and hopefully get it done this fall, which would be great. So this just requires a acceptance by this committee that you want to move forward with this, but by the select board. The last thing I'll say is just that they are still reviewing our proposal. They have some thoughts about materials and other things, so they will weigh in on that as well. And if you want anyone on this board to be part of that process, let me know, because they are still going back and forth on this a little bit. But
all
state-
within the allocated.
yes, we're still getting the 61,000, which is great.
That's great.
It's a matching grant.
Well, with that being said, I'll make a motion to accept the Massachusetts Historical Preservation Projects grant for the renovation of the Cutter Farm Museum.
Seconded.
Motion made and motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
I
right.
would just ask that once that is done, can we please invite students from Smith Academy and Hatfield Elementary School to go on a field trip to that barn?
The museum's
That
going to
is
look great.
on school
There's a lot of
property.
really good work going on in that museum too. It's amazing how many artifacts they have.
Yep.
So it's awesome. Yep, sounds great.
All right. We've got a minute to kill.
6 o'clock on
You
my
got
phone.
6 o'clock on your
I got
phone?
6.
Sounds great.
Okay.
All right. We will
Reasonable
open the
doubt.
public hearing at 6
Silly
p.m.
question.
for the water and sewer rates discussion.
When do we get ice cream?
David's here.
So Dave Prickett from DPC Engineering, they did a review of the town and the current water rates and sewer rates, and to try to get us to be able to build up a healthy reserve to be able to fund some unanticipated costs from repairs and whatnot. So Dave, if you want to speak a little bit more on what you guys have presented for us.
As I always say, when I get to come to these, I'm the bad guy. You obviously went through your budgeting process as part of your spring annual town meeting. You set your expenses budget for both water and sewer. I think you did a very good job keeping things as level funded as we can in this economy. There are some challenges overall with chemical and sludge and things like that that are out of the control of the town. So there were some modest increases. Labor was pretty steady. O&M was pretty steady. But it really comes down to, on the revenue side, how are we going to project what the rate needs to be in order to collect the revenue to meet the expenses budget. So you may recall over the last 3 years, we've been a little bit of a yo-yo in terms of how much water has been used by the customers. And 2 years ago, that led us to underestimating the revenue that we were going to bring in the door, because for whatever reason, it was a wet summer and then a dry fall. But all the water that we thought was going to get used in the summer, by backyard farms, irrigation, et cetera, didn't get used. We used that number last year, and last number you had a higher water usage, so your revenues were up. So you put a little bit more money into reserve. So it's a good thing. So this year we looked at 3 different scenarios for water and sewer, and the pie is baked, so to speak. You've set your expenses. Our job this evening is to contemplate how to slice the pie in an equitable way for the customers on both the water and the sewer side. So you all have that 3-page handout from Andrew? Okay. I'll start with wastewater, which is on the second page of the handout. There are 3 columns on the far right-hand side of this table 1. I have an extra 10 copies here if anybody needs one. Everybody good?
Good.
Okay. The expenses on the top half are identical on all 3 scenarios. On the bottom, the revenue projections are identical. However, they're based on 3 different assumptions of actual consumption. One is based on the low consumption from 2 years ago. And in that case, you're looking at a 20% rate increase in order to balance your budget. One is based on the revenue from last year, which was a high usage season, and that was 5.2%. And if you look at the average of the last 3 fiscal years, that puts you at about 8.5%. And again, I claim to be the bad guy every time we come into these rate meetings, but my job, and I'm not a Hatfield ratepayer, is to present to you the data which we believe is going to help you balance your budget with your goals of maintaining and enhancing your retained earnings balance, which you've done a great job over the last 5 years getting that back up. And you've had some new debt, that's come on the books in the last few years as a result of upgrades. It puts that into perspective. So if you're an eternal optimist, your rate increase is 5.2%. If you're the engineer that you are and you worry about things and you stay up at night, you're at 20%. Obviously, that's not where we want to be. 8.5% is what we would recommend. If you look at the average over the last 3 years, I think that's a pretty safe bet in terms of hedging things. So that would be our recommendation on the wastewater side. At the end of the day, it's up to you. You can go with a lower number. You can adjust your retained earnings goals to lower those, should you choose. Just understand that it's a balancing act. The less money you have in retained earnings, the less money you have for an unforeseen expectation. I think when we did this last year, I had just come from a town in Connecticut that dropped $1.5 million on a sewer line repair adjacent to the Connecticut River, an emergency basis. And it sounds crazy, but it was, Balthazar contractor in there on an emergency basis, kind of having the purse strings at the mercy of the repairs, and that was the final number. So right now you got about $1 million combined between water and wastewater, which is good. I'd love it to be $1 million on each side, but that's going to take us a few years to get to that point.
Sorry, say that again. So I know that it was raised 8% last year to get to $1 million. We now have $1 million, but on what side?
So it's $1 million between both water and wastewater. Sorry.
You're saying you
unique
ultimately
enterprise fund where it's combined. I think about 10 years ago, for whatever reason, when you went to an enterprise fund system, they left water and sewer together. I think we kind of, Marlo would probably agree, manage them separately, but effectively they're one bank account by the law, if you will.
And we would like, our plan is to move those into two accounts. That's more fair for
Yeah.
both sides. And we are tracking them as two, which is good, because you really don't want one to subsidize the other because they are two separate.
But it does
Entities.
give you a little backside cushion if something happened.
I mean, the last discussions we had over the years were they held off any rate increases, and then there had to be a large increase. So the whole purpose of our conversations over the years was to actually try to have incremental increases to stay on top of it. So if we hold off, then in a couple of years, we're going to have a large increase that's going to be demanded. So, I mean, that was part of the conversation too, trying to have,
Yeah.
bring it
it's-
up.
It's an
and have-
emotional topic too.
Yeah.
It's at a time where everything's going up, especially for seniors that are on fixed income. And we have some clients that will make those arbitrary increases. We're going to do 2% this year, 3% this year against our advice. And over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, then all of a sudden you're hit with a 20, 25, 30% increase all at once. And then it's
harder.
it's very, it's much harder. Not that it isn't hard at 8.5%, not to downplay it, but I'd suggest that you settle in on something between the 5.2 and the 8.5 based on your comfort level. On the water side, if it's okay to kind of turn the page and talk about them
Yeah.
in
Mr. Chair.
context together, because ultimately a lot of your customers are getting both bills. Water's a little bit more favorable. Same three scenarios, looking at the kind of the best case water consumption that we saw from last year. It's only a 2.4% increase. If you look at the worst case scenario from 2 years ago, you're at 16.8% increase. And if you look at the average of the 3 years, you're at 5.2 on water.
Hey, Dave. What's up?
I looked through your expenses on both sides and I really didn't see anything glaring that said to me, we can knock this out or we can take this out. You obviously did like a very thorough job with staff, sharpening the pencil and keeping things as tight as you can. It just, there's some things you can't control.
And as you said before, that the sludge increases for sewer
Huge.
are going to be pretty difficult. I
Indirect
think,
costs for labor, I think was
yeah.
insurance and stuff like that. Just, we're all dealing with that
Yeah.
on some front, and then sludge on the sewer side. And then I think the biggest risk on water is you just have a lot of infrastructure. So when you have breaks and things like that, it eats into your expenses. You're lean on labor on both sides. You really are. I mean,
It's always pay me now or pay me later type of situation, unfortunately.
so at on the water side, at the 5.2% increase for the average customer, it's about $3 more per month. On the sewer side, at the 8.5%, it's more significant. It's about $6 more per month. So combined, you're 6 and 3, so you're 9, call it $10 more a month, about $120 more per household that has both town and sewer, average household, if you will.
$9 a month
What kind of
more for
increase is
both.
that overall? What percent increase is that for an average consumer?
I
The $120 a month.
don't really know overall, so you're 48 and
Last year, the
48 and
average,
80, so 138. You're making me do math on the fly, so you were $138. It's going up by another $10 a month, so yeah, you're, between 5 and 10% in that ballpark.
What is it? 25? 7%.
7%.
That's what it
You do math in your head better than I
Well,
do.
that's what Andrew
Yeah.
budgeted for, and I think your rates have kind of aligned with that. The town budgeted for that kind of increase in the enterprise fund.
The town budget overall increased by 7%.
Yeah.
The reality is these rates were pretty much locked in when you went through the annual town meeting warrant. When you set your expenses revenue effectively, you set your revenue by default. It was just a matter of, are we going to have a wet summer or a dry summer?
Right.
You know, if it's a dry summer, it's better for revenue. I don't know what we're gonna have right now. I don't know what it's been so far. I'm sure y'all in the room know how much water you've been using, but.
I think what I'm struggling with is it sort of felt like we ripped the Band-Aid off last year and now we're back at it again. So I'm sort of like, do we increase it even more to get our savings up and then not touch it? Does that buy us time, or are we going to be back here again? You know what I mean? That's, I guess, where my head is going. Like, I don't think we want to keep telling the town every year, yeah, it's going up again and again and again.
Well, I think a lot of those driving factors are similar to what we've seen, the indirect costs of labor with the health insurance. If that area starts to stabilize some, then we might see some of those indirect costs start to plateau a little bit. But I know like materials costs for both water and sewer pipe has gone up exponentially. So on that end of stuff, whether it's a repair or maintaining what the existing systems that we have, there is added cost in there as well. So
There are some new costs this year that it won't be a percent increase next year. So it's the USDA requires that we now add this extra $66,000 for a short-term asset reserve for the wastewater treatment plant. So that will be budgeted, and it will be capital money that we can actually spend. It'll be useful for when things break at the plant, but we're required to budget for that.
and that's for the loan, right?
Yeah,
That's that's part of the loan. So that is in our operating budget for the sewer side. So
they
that
have
is in
some
here.
other clients who have not done a good job keeping up with the mortgage payment over time. Obviously, that would not be the case in Hatfield, but they make everybody put that in there as an underwriting requirement.
Right.
Mm.
So it's-
It'll
yeah, it's
benefit you long term. So if you don't spend it, to Julia's point, it'll go to that bottom line retained earnings. That's the
Right.
beauty of the, enterprise fund. I would continue, if it was just my advice, just take it year by year.
Okay.
Hinsdale likes to do 3-year runs, and every time I do it for them, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because something will change that I can't project. So I've either overestimated and they're not happy because, it was 9% times 3 and it could have been 6. I like doing it once a year. I think you've got a great team in place. You've got this dialed in. We're doing this now. We used to do it in the fall, if you recall, and people are already mad because one of the bills had already come out. So I think your cycle is lined up. The only thing I think next year we do a little bit different is, as part of the annual, warrant, we put in there what the anticipated revenue side is going to look like. And then the conversation's transparent when they vote on it, that's what the rates are going to look like.
Well, yeah, I guess we're under a drought warning right now. So everyone save your water at home. Maybe we can get a rain barrel program going.
Do you want to open a public hearing?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's appropriate. So if anyone from the public would like to come up and comment, we'll take public hearing now.
I will, yeah. You can go first.
Hi there. My name's Grossman, Larry Grossman on 24 King Street. I had a couple questions about the worksheet here, the spreadsheet. Then I had kind of a general question about the rates when you divided it between agricultural and residential.
Yep.
But so for the budget spreadsheets, you said we did a little better in wastewater last year because the revenue was up, and so the contribution to retained earnings was higher. But
Put a little bit more in the piggy bank on both sides.
a little more, it's 500% more than what you're looking at for next year. We contributed 171,000 almost to retained earnings, but it's only projected to be 30,000 for the next 3 years, or the next three scenarios.
I don't know if Andrew or Tammy wants to,
I'd agree with that. It's a conservative projection here, and also I put the 30. We put the 30,000 because when we looked at the other increases, we thought if we do 30,000 for sewer, 70,000 for water, then we're at least committing to $100,000 more towards retained earnings next year.
Right, but
Last year was 300. It's not going to be like that every year. It was great.
it seems like the rates were way out of line last year. Then to be able to generate that much retained earning says that you charge the ratepayers too much.
consumption was up.
So consumption was higher, and then the costs, a lot of those costs that were budgeted that are going to come in lower, could have easily been differently because a lot of them are for maintenance costs and for responding to water main breaks and sewer main breaks. So we had a lucky year with fewer breaks.
I
But
know,
if that's
then maybe-
different
maybe
next
the
year,
decision
then
should-
we're paying that.
Maybe the decision should have been to not assume that all of that will go to retained earnings and some will be carried forward for reduction in rates in future years or the next year.
It's an option available to us.
I mean, it could go either way.
If we had a good year last year for the amount of retained earnings. So we could certainly set the rates a little lower this year if we wanted to take that risk of where the consumption we think will come in.
Well, you just seem to have a target of $1 million for each water and sewer, and that, where'd you get that number? That's a nice goal, but,
Not for each, it's a total.
what's that?
No, $1 million for each for water and for sewer. And that comes from our consultant.
Yeah, the
That's-
goal
that's
is
the
to have a minimum of 100% of your O&M budget in reserve at any time. That's like kind of the minimum standard.
Okay.
And I've seen it wiped away in too many communities really fast, and then we go back to starting over and having to build that back up. So you're going to have just under a year's worth. So you're going to be at
At
90%.
that point, yeah.
So you're getting close. So they all have the same goal.
Is it a million for each?
Total.
Total, okay. So we're very.
And it's tricky to allocate whether it's 400, 600, 300, 700. The bottom line is, based on this budget and the usage forecast, at the end of next year, you'll have just under 1.1 million combined
Mhm.
in reserve. So call it 550 on each half, which is a little less than 100% of your operating
Mhm.
budget, which is salaries and O&M.
And then I had a question about there's money that goes to the general fund and then comes back from the general fund. How are those numbers determined? Are we reimbursing the general fund for something such as health insurance or retirement benefits? Or what is the transfer that is an expense to the ratepayer, the water sewer structure?
So there's two different things going on. So you were referring to these indirect costs. So indirect costs are the ones that are paid from the general fund, and then they are reimbursed from the enterprise funds.
And
So that's
what
the
are
health
those?
insurance, that's the benefits, that's
Okay,
technology, everything else that's paid for from the general fund, and really the water and sewer accounts are both using them. And then these reimbursements, the transfer from the general fund down here, that's something else. That's for capital, and that's debt. And
That's your
and debt
mortgage
stuff.
payment for the plant upgrade.
And that's a pretty even split. You'll see here the capital debt service, $713,000. The transfer from the general fund is $590. So that
Mhm.
basically cancels out all the payments in the wastewater treatment plant, because that's not coming from water and sewer. That's coming from the general fund because of the debt exclusion vote. So what's being paid for there is the other water and sewer projects. There's one water, one sewer project that are each being paid from the enterprise funds for the debt.
that are primarily funded. There's significantly funded projects also, aren't there? Like the 510 project and all that.
It's not five. It's I can get it.
I think it was the last payment of the gravity thickener, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do have a comment on the indirect cost transfer that the enterprise funds reimburse the general operating. That's a totally understandable situation that the staff that are incurring these costs that the town has paid the bill for, basically, out of general operating, right?
Correct.
Well, that's an identical situation for the school system. All the staff of the school, the indirect benefits such as health insurance and retirement and health insurance for retired staff are being burdened by the general operating budget, and the school pays nothing towards that. So what's the rationale for doing it this way? Makes sense. I don't, and I think many of us have a question of why is the school overhead, indirect costs, we could group them in indirect costs. Why is that a burden on the taxpayers of Hatfield?
So my rationale for this, and I'm not trying to speak for the board, just the way that I've always treated this is that there's its own revenue source for water and sewer. You're looking to sustain your water and sewer enterprise funds using only the rates, the ratepayers' contributions from your charging your water and sewer rates. Your schools, there's not a special revenue source for that. It's still taxation dollars. It's mostly property taxes and other local receipts that's funding it, just like everything else in the town's budget. So while you could pull that out as an indirects to show them and show the full cost of the school system, which isn't a bad thing to do if you're trying to show what percentage of your money is going towards schools, you could do that. It's less of something you have to do when you're trying to show how the ratepayers are supporting the water and sewer rather than tax dollars going towards it.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm glad, I think water sewer should show this as
Yeah.
an honest expense.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing that the school hides this expense from their budgetary presentations. And that's maybe something that could be addressed with the school committee or the finance committee or the select board, that we should be honest about the real cost of educating the small number of students.
I think it's a point that's taken, and it's definitely a discussion for another time. So
No, I agree. But
let's stay on water and sewer for right now, please.
Well,
Thank you.
it's a 100% comparison, though.
It
that
is.
We have this. And then I did have a general question I wanted to ask the gentleman about what qualifies as an agricultural rate? And then do you see that as water only? Those are the accounts that have water only, I assume.
I honestly can't speak to the details of, there's only 20 of those customers, as I understand it.
Really?
This
That's
one
interesting.
here, right?
Right.
Where it's less than 50% of the
We've
residential.
typically
might have been
tried
one.
to keep that at 50% of the residential water rate as just a goal, if you will. Hatfield's commitment to try to help, the farmers keep the costs down. It's been a courtesy fee reduction. I honestly can't speak to the details of those 20 customers, but
Well, I'm one of the 20 customers, and I have a meter that's only for livestock. And it used to be very minimal fare. I paid the money to have a separate meter put in. And then a couple years ago, in the attempt to eke out more money from the ratepayers, there was a minimum billing established for that meter. And all 20 of us have a minimum. Now, most of the farmers are large farmers who at the 50% savings, and it's actually closer to probably 60%, they pass the minimum. I don't pass the minimum usage. So now my minimum bill for the livestock is it's almost as much as my house bill, let's say, because, and I would ask that whoever determines the exact structure, get rid of the minimum billing. And you said it's billing overhead and it's some guy reading the meter remotely or whatever they do. And I argue that I think you gave a tremendous break to the agriculture users, but there's some of the 20 of us are very small agriculture users. And I'd ask you to re-examine the minimum billing, the minimum threshold.
I think.
What is the minimum threshold?
Right. I think that's what we'd have to know.
I'd have to find it.
We'd have to look at what the minimum number is, and then also it sounds like it's not equitable and you're not meeting the minimum threshold. Almost have to run the numbers for each individual person to find out if it's easier just
I'd be curious how many.
to keep it as part of your general water bill.
You just get regular water then.
Right. Yes, Mr. Cahill.
Mike Cahill, North Street. I have a question on debt. And looking at the operating statements here, we've got capital/debt service as an expense. And obviously we're trying to cover that expense or all our expenses with revenue. And I'm confused because all of our debt, with the exception of $100,000 or so, is debt exclusion debt. And it's paid from taxation, not from water and sewer revenues.
Correct.
So that's,
So you're
So
spot
that's
on. So you'll see here on wastewater, it says capital debt service, $713,000 on capital and debt.
Yeah.
However, it then says transfer from the general fund, $590. That that cancels out most of that funding because that's paid for, that's for the wastewater treatment plant and the other big projects that are the debt exclusions. So what's left is about $120,000. That is a principal payment on the wastewater gravity thickener conversion and the interest payment on wastewater gravity
Right.
thickener conversion.
And
as
that's
well.
non-debt exclusion.
Those are
debt, and that's-
enterprise debt.
And that's in the enterprise
Correct.
fund budget at this
Yeah.
point.
Correct.
And then the other capital in there, because that doesn't add up to 120,000, is that 66,000 I mentioned earlier.
The other question I have is we're running $713,000 worth of, you want to call it debt, under the enterprise fund operating statement here. We currently have $1.6 million in principal and interest debt in our operating statement, our budget, and 70% or more of that is associated with water and sewer operations, which comes up to probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.2, $1.3 million. So why is this only $700,000?
Because that would be the sewer portion of it, it looks like. So that would be the wastewater treatment plant project, a portion of Route 5 water sewer, and a portion, yeah, that would be it. And the water would take a portion of the water sewer improvements on Route 5 and a portion of, and then all of the water transmission line projects.
Right. So if you add the
So-
two together, it's a little over the 1 point something million that I was mentioning.
And take out anything for town hall, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Is there anybody else here who would like to make a public comment? Right. Seeing none. Oh. Yes.
And I would also just say, so ag rate has come up. The DPC proposal for ag rate was this, you'll see it on here, on the first page, of course. Ag rate was 3.65, so that would be the same 5.2% increase. And that would have an impact on our ag customers. Let me find what I had here. Of about $101 a year, $8 a month. Now, we had talked last year about setting the ag rate at exactly 50% of the residential rate. That would be more, that would be 3.94 for an ag rate instead of 3.65. That would be a 13% increase instead of 5%. So we might want to start, we want to keep gradually building up to that 50%. Or we can try to just do it all in one go here, but that is something else we'll have to figure out about the ag rate. DVC's recommendation was the same 5% increase as for water. And we'd also talked about making it just 50% of ag, of residential.
This looks like, am I confused? It looks like a proposed increase of 5 point, but, oh, maybe that's an average.
Agricultural increase should be, I think, 5% still. Dave, right? I think,
It's set at 5.2.
Yeah.
For the recommendation.
just like the residential.
When we issued this, I had forgotten about the goal of
That's all right.
trying to keep it at 50%. I mean, honestly, you could do either one. I mean, it's not going to make or break your revenue. It's 20 customers. It's not 200. If it was 200, we'd probably be a little bit pushier about it, but at 20 customers.
It would increase monthly from $8 to $22 a month. So it is something we'd have to consider. $8 more a month to $22 more a month. We'd have to think about that.
5%. As one of the 22 ag rate, 5 sounds good.
Fair enough.
You use a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a lot to think about.
Yeah. Is our goal to approve this tonight? Are we
It is our goal to approve this
Yes,
tonight, because
right.
if we approve this tonight, then any usage for next month, which would start on tomorrow's cycle, can be at the new billing amount.
Do we have to choose the same for both water and sewer?
No, No,
You're free to set the rate at whatever you want.
Yeah.
As long as you're making an informed decision. You have our recommendation, but
no, so the water, and you don't have to choose the same bucket for anything. So water rate, the recommendation from DPC is somewhere between 2.4 and 5.2, ideally closer to 5.2. And then for sewer, it's between the 5.2 and 8.5.
I'm inclined to keep both at 5.2 personally.
Interesting.
Interesting, like that's wild or like.
No, I think it'll work. No, anything to work.
We're still in public comments. I don't know if you want to move to close
Oh, yeah.
from public comment or not.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, we're going to close the public comment portion of this hearing, and we can start our deliberations on what we would like to do. So,
I will say the one thing you could do is you don't have to make your decision right now. You could allow the finance committee to weigh in as well, since they have it on their agenda.
it is
They
on their
can-
agenda.
They
Okay.
can talk about this with you.
That actually would probably be really valuable.
Yeah.
I'll let the smarties in.
What do you think, Ed?
I mean, we can have the finance committee weigh in on it. They're here now, and we're supposed to be meeting with them at 6:30.
Sounds
Oh.
good.
It's on both your agendas. So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, we'd like to welcome the.
do you want Dave to stick around, or do you want anything else for Dave? Or
No, I
either way.
It'd be helpful if you did, but
yeah, no problem.
sounds great. We'll welcome in the finance committee.
Okay, we'll take 2.
With that, we'll take a couple-minute break.
Sure.
All right, welcome back. We have Finance Committee in with us now to discuss year-end budget transfers. Let's go through this quickly, and then we can discuss water rates again.
You want a motion?
Yeah, you guys need to start a meeting, correct?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Accept the motion. We're called the meeting to order at 6:30, 40, or 6:36, or whatever it is, 6:37. Just anyone, all right.
Well, for discussion purposes, I'll make a motion to approve the transfers as presented.
Second.
Sounds good.
All right.
Anything else? Oh, health insurance.
Just a couple of questions, Andrew.
He's almost back.
Oh,
He's just, yeah, making a
he's put
sign.
it fine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Apparently it's raining on our parade.
Maybe he ran to the ice cream truck outside.
That's where we want it.
If he comes back with an ice cream, you better bring enough for all of us. Nothing on
Gotta
here.
have a little humor.
Took care of snow and ice.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask.
I'm a
Maybe we
little
don't need Andrew. So the
confused.
30,000 for snow and ice, does that mean that's coming out of finance reserving and collector's salary? Does that mean we did not find enough money in the DPW budget to cover what we thought? Or does that mean that there was more bills than we thought,
Yeah, it's going to be an Andrew question.
I guess? I'm just asking, I'm asking.
It's a good question.
because
It's a good question.
it came up, we set the amount from free cash at town meeting based on the idea that we were going to cover the rest of it.
Right.
And I didn't think that this was the plan for covering it. I mean, obviously we have to, but just,
Right.
I'm just curious of whether it was
First time we're seeing this, right?
more than we thought or,
I would assume something came in after town
No,
meeting.
we only had one late salt load bill. So that's minimum. That was like $3,000.
Yeah, so that's not a big.
right.
Huh.
We can see these upstairs.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, the other stuff we all know about, right?
Right.
Health insurance. I don't know what happened legal, but I can guess. You know. we had more legal expenses than we thought. That'd be my first. No, well, we could.
Snow and ice.
Snow and ice, though. What happened there?
We thought we got it. It was all taken care of at town meeting.
Except for what was going to come out of DPW.
Right.
So for snow and ice, what we decided to do was to not take all of it from free cash. We were going to take some of it from, we're aiming for DPW with
Right.
all the other DPW expenses. And it's somewhat fungible, you'll see, because we're needing to, we're using the, some of the extra expenses on the public works line for DPW, everything else. But we wanted to use general fund for this year, extra expenses towards towards snow and ice rather than free cash. So that's why
Yeah,
we
no,
wanted to
no,
use this,
no,
yeah.
no. I get that part. I mean, I remember we talked about this before
Yep.
town meeting.
Right.
Basically what we said was that we needed to cover X amount of dollars out of snow and ice,
Mhm.
and it was less than the actual cost. We needed to take less than the actual cost out of
Yep.
free cash because there was money found in the DPW budget.
Well, what we
cover
said
the
was we were going to
rest.
cover as much as we could from DPW. And I think we probably could still cover more from
Okay.
DPW, but what our accounting team did was they found the sources that were the easiest to move right now because there's still bills rolling in.
Yep. Okay.
Use FinCom reserve because we know we won't get any
Yep.
bills there. Yeah, that's the argument. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
I think it'll be
Yep.
tight. coming down to the.
But
Okay.
I think you'll still end up with a surplus from DPW overall. It's just there's still bills coming in, so we couldn't.
Does that mean we're going to use less free cash than was projected?
No, we'll use the same
No.
amount of free cash.
Okay.
We're going to use,
All right.
it presumably maybe means that at the end, that in September or August or something, we're going to find out that there's money in DPW that's going to close to free cash, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
that so instead of FinCom reserve money going to free cash, which
Right.
we like happening, it'll come from DPW or somewhere else,
We just haven't figured it out yet. So, yep. All right.
or there's just still bills
Still
rolling in.
out there. Yeah. Okay.
So were there any others that were big questions?
I'm good with the rest of it.
So obviously legal and public works professional services, that's Route 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That's
Yep.
clear. And we
That's what-
still have, so we're barely going to be touching for this year, the money that was set aside at town meeting for the Route 5 legal and engineering expenses, so that if they keep coming in for next year, we'll see how long they do, we should be in pretty good shape. I think we're only going to use around $10,000 for that for this year, so it'll
That's
still
great.
be 80 for next year.
That's good.
So that was almost not 100,000. There was a lot of additional expenses that came in for both legal and professional services that we're able to cover through the budget this year. And then obviously the health insurance was a big increase.
Mhm.
Right.
$46,000 there.
All right. We have a motion on the table, right?
Yep.
I'm ready to vote.
All right. Do we get a second? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I didn't hear it. Okay.
Daryl.
Yeah, right. Okay. All those in favor of transfers as presented on this sheet? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
It's all good.
That's your turn.
We need a motion for this as well.
Yep.
I thought they just had to be the select board, but you typically do both bodies?
We're supposed to sign
Yours-
this, so.
Well, you're both signing
Oh,
it, so
yeah,
you
we all
you
sign
you
it.
should motion to.
So-
We
Yeah,
just don't have it written on our sheet, so
yeah. that's
Yeah.
I will
fine, my
entertain
bad.
a motion.
I make a motion to accept and transfer what's noted on this sheet.
Just use that one.
Seconded.
Motion made, motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We got a sheet going over here, so we'll send it
Yeah,
over.
keep signing.
Fantastic.
Mine's messy now.
So moving back to our other topic of water and sewer rates, we think it's pertinent to discuss with finance your guys' opinions on where the rates are headed and where it puts us in terms of projecting and having a healthy reserve for unanticipated costs. So with the sheet that DPC has provided, I don't know if you guys have copies or if you would like some. The increases that they've recommended gets us very close, just over that $1 million in reserves. Some coming from sewer, some coming from water.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
And was the goal $1 million in each, or is it $1 million between the two of them? I thought the way I read it was $1 million each.
Million,
The long,
Million in sewer, million in water.
long-term goal.
Was $1 million for
I mean, we're not
each.
going to get
A
there,
million for each.
but
And-
that's the
And Dave,
goal.
you said 100% of your operations and maintenance budget?
A minimum 1 year's
Yeah,
operating budget in reserve.
got it, operating
So
budget.
right on the wastewater, you've got an operating budget of 655, 660, something like that. On the water side, you've got 540, 550, something like that. So combined right now, that 1.1 million hits you just under 1 year's combined,
Okay.
which I would argue we're not quite there yet to be at 100% of combined. I'm not advocating adding more to reserve this year by any stretch, not at proposed 5.2 and proposed 8.5. But my hope is that we have another strong consumption year, and we might get there by accident, right? We might end up collecting a little extra revenue this year. That's what happened last year. If that's the case, we might be at 1.2 at the end of next year instead of 1.1. That'd be great.
And just for my own clarification, the purpose of this fund is for emergencies, water main breaks, sewer breaks, things like that. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, you get one of these big breaks, call it on I don't even like to speculate because then somebody's going to get a call in the middle of the night.
Right,
A
right.
pipe breaks.
Yeah,
it's a
something
major
under
repair.
Route 5, which
Yeah,
is terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And-
Okay.
And
It
then
was $1 million in a weekend.
when
Yeah,
when
right.
it does fail, the general fund doesn't want to jump in and pay for it. So that would be
It could be behavioral.
the catastrophic event that would wipe it out.
No, I asked the question, I just want, just for
It's a good question.
clarification.
When you have healthy retained earnings, you also might be able to fund a project out retained earnings rather than borrow for it down the road. Like if you need 300,000 for a water main rather than borrow
Right.
on a 20-year note or whatever, you can pay cash, if you will, out of retained earnings.
Right. Or extend a sewer line,
Yes. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
To,
Borrow partial and take some other retained earnings if they're strong.
Yeah, or if retained earnings accounts are high, then it might allow for smaller increases in the future
Yeah.
once we get those accounts up as well. So,
Yep.
I think there's
So the plan presumes that the general fund is going to cover all the expenses that aren't operating expenses.
As voted on at the previous
Right.
town meeting warrant articles.
Right. So that includes both debt exclusion and general borrowing or whatever.
Yeah, the 590 is basically the debt service that was tied to the non-enterprise fund debt, if you will, the piece that the general fund said they were going to pay for at the warrant article.
Mhm.
And then it's like just under 300,000 on the water side. Sorry, 230.
So the difference between that 713 and that 590, Andrew had outlined, it was the initial payment and then the interest payments on the gravity sludge.
Yeah.
And then the $66,000 that we have to carry through USDA for the new loan for the sewer treatment plant projects. Is that difference? It's 107,000 or whatever it is.
I think that 66, Luke, might be in that 354 O&M line item. I'm pretty sure.
Let me check, because when I sent it to Justin, I think I had it in the capital.
You had
line.
any other one?
I think so.
Okay, it's okay either way.
Yes.
Yeah.
so just for my own clarification, at one point, we had talked about or discussed that the new loan, 12 million, 13 million, whatever it is, that we had discussed a percentage being on the ratepayers and a percentage being on the town. Is this putting it all on the town and none on the ratepayers?
It would continue to have everything come from the town. And the reason for that is well, at least from a budgeting accounting perspective, it's already excluded debt. So you're basically already paying for it from all taxation from the town.
I believe that was how the warrant article was written, though.
Right.
Oh, no,
Project was initially pitched though, it was like 65-35. I mean, wasn't
You
it?
could look at different
It's-
options, but the way the article was written, it was from the general fund, for sure. I remember that.
Yeah.
USDA wasn't going to approve it unless it was on the general fund, because it would have been too much debt burden on the users. So when you went through that underwriting. Deerfield, as an example, it was a straight up in the article 75-25 split, like it was implicitly stated.
Is Hatfield the only town that went 100% that you know of?
No, Stockbridge does.
But do we have
varies
the
so
option-
widely out there? I mean, it's like some towns have legacy. It's always been this way. Most new debt for other communities is on enterprise fund moving forward. Deerfield has since killed that 25-75 split. But it does vary out there. You and Stockbridge both commonly put capital expenses on the general fund for water and sewer.
I feel comfortable with the water. I'm struggling with the sewage because, like, even in Amherst, it's pretty much 50-50, like it's even,
They get a lot of customers.
Is that it? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it, 'cause
and
we
a
don't have
plant
as
that
much.
And
Yeah.
when you're looking at the Amherst numbers and the other numbers, the comp numbers that they sent us, that's for last year, assuming
Yeah.
that they're not doing any sort of increase for this year, which we don't have those.
The comps are brutal. Like we looked
Yeah.
at them, like Great Barrington is like less than $1,000 on sewer, but it's been up at that level for almost 10 years and they've got like $11 million in reserve in anticipation for a big debt service project. So there's just so many local nuances,
Yeah.
number of customers, how the debt's paid for, to your point. Whether there's been a recent capital project that's already gone, you and Deerfield are pretty similar comps in terms of like size of community and customers, and they're a little higher than you are. Their water's lower. I don't know what they do in the South Deerfield Water Department. It's private utility. I don't know that there's a ton of like proactive municipal level effort to replace pipes. I can't speak to it.
I'm not advocating it, but I have a friend who lives in Turner's, and he said that they only charge sewer for the winter water that you use, not for the summer.
Oh.
So when I don't know if it's June 1st or July 1st till whenever, they stop charging whatever water you use during that time does not get charged to your sewer. It's only for the other 6 or 7 months or whatever it is.
Seems very odd.
That's what I said.
It's
when he was
interesting
telling me
though,
about it.
because it's like,
So Deerfield has a similar thing where if the summer is more than like 125% of the winter usage, it gets capped. The slippery slope with all of those scenarios is if you change your formula, you're going to hurt the seniors.
Oh, yeah.
Because the folks at the low end of the structure, they're going to come up towards the median faster. So I always say the best rate structure is a flat fee, but going from where we're at now to a flat fee, like Great Barrington's straight up dollars per household. Doesn't matter how much water you use. 98% of your wastewater budget, Marlo, right, is fixed, whether you're flushing a gajillion gallons or 20 gallons. But change is hard. So if we did make that change, we would, I think, probably have a lot more vocal residents in the room talking about the rate hearing, just for what it's worth, anecdotally.
You just need more people on sewer.
Sewer and water statewide, it's about a 2-to-1 ratio.
Right.
Now. It's been about double. So like sewer inflation's been between like 7 and 9% a year statewide over the last like 5 years.
Yeah. And if you're basing it in any way on the cost of running the systems, I mean, whatever one of these things you do, whether it's 8.5% or 5.5% or whatever, you're still getting, the sewer users are still getting a massive subsidy. I mean, we're paying for every single part of the cost of the sewer system that isn't somebody down in the plant working or their health insurance, like literally. It seems.
It's a third of the budget, to your point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it seems, hard to imagine that you don't keep pace there, like if you have to build up retained earnings for future projects, potentially, like you're talking about having $11 million in retained earnings, I kind of feel like next time we have to build a sewer plant, it shouldn't be on the taxpayers to cover it again, like they've done the last 2 times. Just
Right.
at least not the entire thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reasonable split somewhere in here. 100% is probably too much, but 100% the other way is also too much.
What was the total breakdown for, is it like 65-35 for sewer versus septic in town? Do we know a breakdown
Oh,
of actual users?
small.
Is it higher?
I have no idea. I thought it was higher septic than that, but I'm not sure.
I think so too. I can't remember, but it's.
Do you know what the breakdown is for like Stockbridge or anything?
Oh,
There's
Is it-
not more than a third of the
the internet.
users.
I feel like if it was a really high percentage of people on septic here that they would have voted the article down because they wouldn't have wanted to
No,
pay.
It's pretty high.
It's more than 50%.
Oh, yeah.
It's
it's
septic,
huge.
it's septic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is all of West Hatfield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not quite all.
Or what, septic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in North Hatfield, we're all septic.
I'm not.
You're not. And I can see the sewer line, but that's as good as it,
Yeah.
close as it gets. I just think, I mean, I go back to this debt thing and, okay, even if you set aside the 12 million that we have to pay for, because that's how we voted for it, that's not, I agree with John, that's what we talked about from day one, so I'm a little confused about that. But some of the other debt service that we're carrying on that, why some of that does not go to the ratepayer and not all the town, I don't understand that. I think you have to put some of that somewhere. You know, water is easy. What are we, 98% of the town is on water? So whether it's in the rate or whether it's in a general fund, we're all using water. But sewer is just a different animal.
Sewer is a different animal, but in some cases, without sewer, you wouldn't get the businesses, and without the businesses, you wouldn't get some offset on the tax rate. I'm just saying, there's always
Yep.
two arguments to this, right?
Oh,
And-
I agree, and I'm not,
I mean-
and I'm with, even if it was only 25%.
Right.
Something. It, you know, I just, that's how I feel, but.
But I don't disagree with what you're saying, because we've battled over this for years, trying to back and forth. I mean, when you were on the boards, you had the same discussions, and
Yeah.
the boards today are having the same discussions, but the bottom line is if we don't do a small increase, then next time it's a larger increase. That's the problem with this, because the costs don't go away, you know? That's the
100%, I
trouble.
agree with you.
Yeah, we learned that lesson.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
it happened. We didn't increase rates for like 8 years or something. And then,
And then not long ago, we missed a couple of billing.
Right.
We were late in setting our rates. And so
Right.
the first couple of bills were not at the new increase.
right.
Which meant we had a big increase for the last two bills.
So do you
But
want a
weren't the
little
rates too
increase
low
or
to
a big
even
one?
qualify for the loan
Way
initially?
back, yes.
Actually.
Yeah.
I think as my opinion is, as much as I hate to say it, I think we should move forward with setting the small increases that are presented to us, but that's just my opinion.
I would largely agree.
As suggested?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree that not increasing the sewer as what is recommended, I think, is putting us in a position to have to do a very large increase in a few years, and that could be much larger of a problem. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, I will entertain a motion.
Well, I would say the motion is to increase the water and sewer rates as presented by
I think we have to call on it.
Dave on our handouts. That would be $6 per month for the sewer and $3 a month average for the residential, which comes out to a proposed increase of 8% on the sewer side and 6% on the water side, if I'm reading this correctly.
And can you just say what the rate would be for each, just per 100 cubic feet?
Yeah, the rate per HCF would be 14.96
Yeah,
on
the
the
other number.
sewer side.
Go one
Uh,
column to the right, Ed.
In the green, right, Ed?
1625.
16.25, my mistake, on the
Well, this is
sewer
confusing.
side. We're going with the 5.5% then?
Yeah, so it's going to be, the rate would be 788 for water and 365 for
We need
agricultural.
to make a decision on the ag, so that's a 5% increase. The town would like to move towards, well, we have talked about getting towards ag being set at 50% of residential, but we can also not do that this time.
I think it would be worth taking a look at the 20 or 22 users that there are and figuring out where usage lies compared to the minimum bill.
Mhm.
If you're not going to make your minimum bill, then I mean, that's the purpose of the minimum bill.
I think
you know,
most of them
so-
are probably well above that,
Right, well,
that minimum.
So
I was
Just
going
when
to
it
say,
least.
at one point, we were the highest water
Yeah, I
user
would
in
think.
town, so probably fairly close now.
I don't think we have what the 5% would be. We have 5.2.
So the
Yeah,
5.2
it was
increase, that would be the
5.2.
3.65. And then the other option would be to make it
I will withdraw my
50%.
motion and put it back into perspective to where it should be. We were saying now on the motion, we want the water side to be at the 8.5%.
Seven.
$7.88, right? There's the 5.2% increase.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Alright.
you had the right motion.
Yeah.
Then it's just a question of what the ag rate should be. And do you can do the one as proposed.
I would do 365.
do we have a second?
Seconded.
Is there any further discussion?
No.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
3.65.
All right. Moving to topic. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
You as well.
Yeah, let's do it. That'd be awesome.
Our board's down.
Especially once they finish.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
All
Thank you
those,
guys for joining us.
Aye.
good to see you.
They're upstairs. Hopefully someone turned on the air conditioner.
Oh.
Someone-
Right. We can continue to
Crank
move.
through some
Yeah,
appointments.
so topic 13 is appointments and resignations. We have quite the list of the annual reappointments, so I will entertain a motion for those first.
Do we want to look?
Anyone wants to discuss them?
Okay, I move that we reappoint all appointees with terms expiring June 30th, 2026, as presented on the annual appointment list supplied by the town clerk.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
The appointment of Fred Bogan to the opioid task force.
Seconded.
Someone has to make a motion.
Yeah.
Motion to appoint Fred Bogan to opioid task force.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
make a
I'm-
motion to appoint Rebecca Bench to 2040 Implementation Committee.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to appoint Stephanie Slish to Affordable Housing Trust.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
motion to appoint Michael Cahill to Deficit Reduction Committee.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Moving on to the DPW Director's Report.
Okay, thank you. So to start with, I have a couple of wage salary rate adjustment request forms for two seasonal cemetery and groundskeepers positions. The first one, Andrew Provost. Oh, by the way, both of them were successful in getting their work permits, so all the paperwork's in order on them. The only caveat with Andrew Provost is he will be working 35 hours a week because of his age. He can't start at 6 in the morning. He'll be starting at 7, so he'll work 7 to 2. Tess Gillette, she is actually studying auto mechanics, but very interested in the construction field.
Heck yeah.
Both these young folks, if I will, we're very excited about having an opportunity to learn a little bit about construction, line painting, crosswalk painting, mowing, all that good stuff. So we were looking to have Andrew start tomorrow, which I've been in touch with Brenda ahead of time in anticipation of the vote, or tonight. And Tess would be starting on July the 7th, which is next Tuesday. Pretty excited to see young folks so interested in wanting to come aboard and do the work. So we're all set for giving them a little training and all that good stuff.
Wonderful.
So I'll make a motion to approve wage salary rate adjustment request for Andrew Provost Jr.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye. And I will motion to approve the wage salary rate adjustment request for Tess Scalette.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so on to my report. We have a lot of moving parts right now and a lot that's going to be happening in July. I'll try and give you the high level as we go down through. One of the things I've been working on for a few months now is I've met a couple times with the school superintendent, and we've been talking about, which has been on the agenda since I started here, as far as the school grounds maintenance. Him and I have had some really good talks on that. How can we help each other? He actually just notified me the other day that he hired a summer groundskeeper that he thinks will be capable to run our large area mower to help us out with the large areas of the fields. A good portion of our week, depending on the summer, is taken up mowing, not just the school grounds, but there's a great deal of area on the school grounds for the sports and so on and so forth. So we're kind of transitioning to see how he can help me, and I can help, how the schools can help me, and I can help them. So I hope to have another meeting or two with him and have like a more formal report for you for next meeting on that old business.
Okay.
The Main and Brad Street cemeteries, I'm still waiting on the final surveys on that, so we can get going on that project. Winding down the budgets, it's going well. I don't think we have a lot left out there, but we'll see what comes in the next week for invoices. Andrew's got a little more information on this one, but the EV electrical and trench work is completed at Hatfield Elementary. So the installation was completed. Highway, we've been basically a lot of mowing. We also assisted on both the water main installation on Straits Road with the water department and the water leak at the intersection of West and Depot. Good job by all. Good job to the water department and highway for jumping in and helping out. The only thing we have left on Straits Road is installation of hydrants and then running service lines to the curb before we were to start the Straits Road project. So the main line's in, so we'll chip away at the other pieces of it. 15 Elm Court, the concrete floor is completed. It's all set to go. The electrical work in the interior will be starting on Monday. The openers will follow will be put up the following week. We're still waiting to hear from Eversource for a poll hearing so they can set the pole on the property. The pole's been there for a couple of weeks, and then we'll trench from there. The DPW highway will trench from there to the building to save costs on that. School Street Park, well, we started that project today. We removed the old ugly stockade fence that was falling down, filled and compacted the post holes. So the new fence is due to be installed on Thursday, 7/2, and the privacy slats will be installed on that new fence on Friday, 7/3. The last 20 feet closest to the School Street property, we're dropping it down to 4 feet, not keeping it at 6 feet. So there's a better line of sight trying to get out of the post office and fishtails. You stand in the parking lot. When it was there before, it was kind of tough with the way the trees and everything are orientated. So just a little information on that. The company's due to come in probably the third week or the last week of July. The highway department will dig 12 inches out of the current park, remove the structure that's up front, and then the installation company will come in and put the 2 new structures in, and then the highway department will spread the new certified wood chips. So I'm hoping by the end of the month or the first week of August, we can have our new park up and running, newly rebuilt. Schools paving. So right now, the bids came back through FERCog. So the milling company it could have came in next week. Well, I couldn't do it next week because the roof, not the jump projects, but the roof is due to be completed, could have been completed the end of this week, but we got a couple of rain days, so I anticipate probably the middle of next week, the roof on the elementary school will be done. So they'll be done and gone, and then we can start in on the paving. So the milling will be in the week of July 13th to 17th, weather permitting. Light rain, regular rain, they can mill. Heavy rains, they can't. But it's going to take about 3 days to do both schools and Billings Way to clean it all up. At that point, Warner Brothers got the paving. They're going to come in right behind them whenever they complete, do the fine grading, raise the basins, and start the paving. So Smith Academy has some coordination we're doing, but as far as the elementary school, right now I have 13 contacts that I have in an email chain because we're dealing with the library, the Lions Club and activities there, summer school, rec going on out there. So as we nail these dates down, there might be some movement from the elementary school to Smith for a couple of days, because once we start milling Billings Way and paving it, it's very narrow. So there's going to be no traffic that's going to be able to get in or out. Obviously, if there was an emergency of some sort, we'd get them in, you know. So a lot of coordination going on. I already started that coordination early this week only because we got plenty of time, but with vacations and everything, hearing back from anybody, and everybody's, let's say the way they want to help me out so we can get the project done is going really well so far. So once I have the exact dates, I'll nail them down, and of course I'll put the board in the email too, so you know exactly what's going on there. Paving's the big thing, especially in the middle of the summer. If it's hot, you got to stay off that brand new mat. You can't drive on it until it cools down. So Billings Way could be down for the whole day. You know, we just don't know at this point. Looks like we're going to be okay financially. I won't know where we've talked about fuel and whatnot, you know, if there's going to be a reciprocating fuel charge on the asphalt or not. We'll know as we get into the project. But unpaved roads grant, we still haven't received anything from the state as far as signing a contract or whatnot. They did say 4 to 6 weeks, so I think we're getting close to the 6.
Yeah.
But my guess is they may release them after July 1. We should be seeing it soon. And as I said, we got the water main in. That was the big thing. The other thing I had pulled off here was the beta pavement management plan. It just so happens the day I pulled it off the report, I got a preliminary report for them for all our roads. So maybe it was a good thing. So I haven't reviewed it yet. I'll be reviewing this with Dwayne on Monday and then getting back to the company. We're also working on, by just taking a quick peek at this and what we know is our worst roads, we're starting to put the paving program together. Earlier this week, we received another $87,000 for fair share paving money on top of a regular Chapter 90 that I signed for, and it's in the account. So
Nice.
Once we have that program together, absolutely I'll share with you. I can't think of anything else right now that's well, there's a lot of things, but we did plant 13 trees before it got too hot upon requests from the taxpayers. Other than that, if you have any questions.
Where are we at with the hook truck?
It's supposed to be here the end of the month. Dwayne will probably give him a call tomorrow when he gets back from vacation.
Good.
Thank you for all you're doing, Marla. It's great.
Yeah, no, I thank my staff, you know. We're a small crew, but it's like the little train that could. So.
Just, I don't know if this makes sense, but, or if this is something, I guess just look at it, but when you're coming in Smith Academy in the back by like the gym, the back entrance, it was really bumpy, and I was watching people are struggling to get into town meeting, like elderly people, but it extends under that, like towards the door. I don't know if that's in the purview of this, but
anything blacktop's coming out and it's going to be brand new.
I don't know if it is blacktop, just
Yeah.
calling out, but
You know, there's moving dumpsters, there's making sure vehicles are out of the way. We're working USA, or the school department's going to work with them. So Yeah, anything right up to the walkways. In fact, if there's enough money in the project, that there's that long sidewalk in from School Street to Smith that is getting pretty bad.
It's getting bad.
I'm gonna have them pave that while they're there, because it's getting pretty rough. And it's a wide sidewalk. So we'll see where we land.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you. You guys
Thank
are
you.
doing great.
Welcome.
With that, topic 15, the town administrator report.
All right, I will try to go really quick since we're already pretty over time. So housing production plan, we talked about how we'll be hiring the team for the comprehensive zoning rewrite. There are a couple firms that bid on that also have a lot of experience with housing production plans. We have $40,000 from a town meeting for CPA to do a housing production plan. So we're looking at getting a scope together and potentially hiring one of those firms. I can bring you finalists if you're interested, if anyone wants to be on the group to make a recommendation on their hire. Otherwise, I'll bring you, a top choice and can go over that at your next meeting. But we have two great options at least on that. Opioids committee, the opioid settlement funds task force is looking ahead at what they want their next activity to be, what are other sorts of things they can do in the future with their funding. And they're really interested in some kind of aligned around the idea of prevention and community engagement, some kind of like know your community event, potentially something that rolls into like some kind of fall festival. So I'll keep bringing the ideas to that together. But if you have any interest, I'll let you know where things are at there as I reach out to the celebration committee and other folks who would be a part of that as well. So that can be a really exciting thing for the town. The 2040 report talked a lot about trying to come up with more of a calendar of events and community things that would bring people out and bring more people to the town as well. So something to look at that I think could be really great. This next section is kind of fun because usually I'm coming to say, hey, we're applying for this grant, or hey, we got this grant. Now I get to say, we actually got the products from the grants that we've been doing for the last year. So Mass Office of Disability Grant, we have our transition plan that has been drafted. At our next meeting, we'll bring them in and they can present what their report looks like. And then this body will have to vote on its acceptance. But this is a transition plan that shows all the things that we should be doing to be up to compliance with ADA and another good policy for folks with differing ability levels. Electric vehicle chargers, Marla already talked about this, but when this meeting is over, I'll head over there to make sure that it's active. We need to take a picture of the chargers actively working. I have someone with an electric vehicle who can meet me after this meeting, and we'll get a picture of that, send it to the state so we get our tax credits. So tax credits are good. Agricultural ditches, folks are meeting upstairs now, and the deliverables look really good. I'll get those to you, and I think it would be great to have them come to a future meeting as well. Just there's folks who are here meeting about it now, but we can get it on video and everything else to learn more about what's been done on this project. And then I think if we plan to post the police chief position in August, we should be in good shape to get someone in here for December. We have some people who are interested in serving that committee, so we can post that. We can decide on that at the next meeting here. And then, yeah, that's what I got for now.
All right.
Great.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Does the electric charger generate revenue for the town? Or like, how does that?
Yes, I am trying to figure out how I set the cost of it and how people pay for it. But essentially, we can set a cost that's basically like an average amount. They're pulling power from the school, so from us. So we're paying for that power anyway. So we need to be charging them and at least make back that expense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can set it a little higher than that too.
Yeah.
I think it'll still be very reasonable. Cool. So yeah, we'll report on that and see how that's going. Great.
Next would be the topic 16, the potential pilot for the commercial solar project at 12 Elm Street, which is the storage facility.
Exactly. So there's a Greenleaf Solar, I think it's the name of the company, that's interested in setting up solar on top of there. It would be a commercial project, be a good use of that space. It's just the storage underneath. What they are interested in doing is negotiating a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes. We charge tax on the personal property that's set up for commercial solar. And essentially what they want is just to be able to predict what those payments look like over time, potentially have some kind of phase-in structure of them. I have asked town council just if there's anything specific we need for negotiating that. I thought in the past you had to like put a committee together and the select board had to choose members of a committee. From what I can tell, that's not necessary. So I just want to make sure that you're okay with the idea, at least, of starting to negotiate that. We would basically work with the assessor's office, figure out what personal property expenses would look like, and then come up with a schedule of payments so that we're completely made whole. We get the same amount of money that we would, except we set it up as predictable payments over time.
Is this done anywhere else?
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing to do with solar. The state allows for doing this. There's very few uses of pilots that the state allows, but this is one of them. And we do have one already negotiated. We did this for Smith Academy when the solar went up there as well.
Well, that makes sense because it's a town.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
town owned. I'm
Yeah.
struggling to understand the benefit
For the town.
for using our resources and our assessor and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
What value do we get out of
We
it?
get a new solar project. That's something that interests us. And we're still collecting the tax. It's just at a schedule that's mutually beneficial is the argument. I mean, I'm willing to at least start the negotiation and just hear from them and what they are thinking. And if it becomes anything too burdensome for us, I'd say we pull out. But I just want to make sure that you're on board with at least having the conversation.
I think that's fine if we want to have a conversation, but in my opinion, unless we're going to get like some sort of
Benefit.
credit, electric credit or reduction in our rates or something cool out of it.
I'm
Give
willing
to get.
Yeah.
What are we getting?
Yeah, I think that's fine to.
Yeah, I think I'd
Explore
like
that.
to hear what they have to say. I don't think the solar system at the school really benefited the school. It did somewhat, but the solar company benefits more from that installation at the school. The school is seeing some savings, but not as
Not
much as
substantial.
people would thought.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Well, that's
doesn't hurt to talk to somebody.
All right. We'll at least start the conversation, and I'll work with the council and assessors to figure out what's going on there.
Good. Great. And lastly, for our public agenda will be the appointment of Sue Fapiano as Assistant Treasurer Collector and to approve the rate adjustment.
Yep. So this is an employee that we've had budgeted for a while, and the assistant treasurer collector. You have a wage salary form for you, and we just be looking to approve of that.
We need a motion or no?
I think it's probably proper to have a motion. Yep.
I make a motion to appoint Sue Forpiano as Assistant Treasurer Collector.
seconded.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Great. You have that form.
With that, that'll conclude our public session of the June 30th meeting. And I will make a motion to go into executive session with special counsel pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation arising from the Route 5 infrastructure project and pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements. Specifically, the Public Records Law, General Law, Chapter 4, Section 726, discuss privileged communication from special counsel, and we will not be returning to regular session. I will also make an additional motion to go into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to discuss strategy for negotiation with non-union personnel for the fire chief and director of public works.
I'll second that motion, and Jaworski, aye.
Longstreet, aye.
Frisbee, aye.
Thank you, John, and everybody have a great night and happy 4th.
Happy 4th.